moment in time where we shouldn't be afraid or ashamed to ask for help if we're feeling that our mental health is being challenged. And I feel that has been something in our API communities, our Asian Pacific communities, that has, there's always been a stigma about talking about mental health. But wow, it's so different now. Everybody feels this pressure. Everybody is going through some level of mental health challenge.
Alert, you are using the computer audio.
Hi, Roque. So glad you're joining us. So here we are. COVID-19 has changed around everything. And I wanted to ask you, how are you doing? How are you really doing? Great. Not so great, and that's okay too. So maintaining our physical health is a challenge in these times, but maintaining our mental health is a challenge too, because we're social creatures. We're meant to come together as groups, as families, as communities. And, in this society and in many societies, mental illness is not talked about. It's not appreciated as in comparison to a physical illness. And in a way, we've individualized mental illness. And in some ways, you're expected to be pulled up by your bootstraps, pull yourself up by your bootstraps to make yourself okay. And that simply isn't a healthy way to really approach, a widening awareness and widening issues with mental health. So, some ways it's in traditional Asian cultures, it might have thought of as being a curse, or there's so much shame around it, stigma to talk about it. It's hard to ask for help. And right now, though, I think everybody can ask for help and shouldn't be ashamed to. It's just, how do we do it? Well, there's resources. At the beginning of the year, my team and I put together resources for the API community specific to Los Angeles County. And I am happy to share that with you. It's about 18 pages of resources organized by different areas, so it's easier for you to access it. Although everything's virtual now, you can access anything from anywhere. But the idea is to be able to know about the Asia Pacific Family Center, or to know more about APCTC, Asia Pacific Counseling and Treatment Center, to know about MOA, to know about Asians Advancing Justice, all compiled in Tagalog and English, Khmer in English, Korean, Vietnamese, and Chinese. So I'm happy to share those with you, and I'll be emailing them out. Please share them as widely as you can. Share them with everybody you know who may be interested in resources for mental. Right now, gosh, it's what, month 10, month 11 that we've been in this situation. So sometimes things feel a little blurry, a little hard to talk about, communicate, put thoughts together as I'm having right now. But one of the things that I like to do is to practice sharing, having a cup of tea. And basically, I wanted to share some of the aspects that I want to put together in the care package. So this is our little tea package, kindly put together by my volunteer Melissa. We'll have 3 different teas. 2 of them are ginger with pito pito tea, and we also have a little package that looks like this, and it has a yema, which is a sweet made with condensed milk, and this is one of my favorites growing up, is polvoron. It's made out of powdered milk and sugar. And I also put little globes of sunshine. This is calamansi. It's a Philippine lime. They're very high in vitamin C. And I am so appreciative of my landlady letting us plant a calamansi tree in her yard. It's given us like hundreds and hundreds of calamansi that I will be happy to share with you. Because right now, vitamin C is going to be a very important element to have in our diet every day. So calamansi is a really wonderful fruit. So I am going to be making some tea here and sharing with Teru. So I invite you to please break out your tea. Take a sip if you've already had it brewing. And I've already had this brewing a little bit, but you can wait. And I wanted to talk about merienda. So I really wanted to understand tea traditions in different countries. And with the Philippines, it wasn't so much about ceremony, but definitely had teas that come from this province. And I was really happy to come across Ritz. It's very easy to get at the Seafood City. And what I love about this is that they have different tea blends. In addition to pito pito, they have ampalaya, they have sambong, they have lambubi, and banaba. These are all herbs that I'm not completely familiar with, and so it got me really excited to learn more. So that's still a journey for me to learn more about Philippine herbs, although I have some Chinese herbs. But what I appreciate is that pito pito is a blend of some of these top herbs that include banaba, guava, pandan leaf, gotukola, anise seed, halagao, and of course ginger. And in combination, and also individually, they've been used for many different conditions, but especially for helping a person recover from cold or respiratory issues or inflammation. And it's really mild. It's very tasty with the ginger. So I invite you to take a sip and enjoy. And I'm going to serve a little bit here with Teru, who was kind enough to serve me tea 2 weeks ago. Anyhow, what I love about the idea of merienda is that it's also something that we share in Spanish culture. And it's a time that we take a break from work, take a break from school, and just have a snack together. So how many of you have experienced merienda within the Philippines? Anybody? Oh yeah, Ryan, share.
Well, I'm born in the U.S. I don't know if there's a different merienda in the Philippines, but it just means like morning snack or afternoon snack, but just take a break and have some food.
Absolutely, it's informal, but it is all about taking a break. And in some places in the Philippines, merienda is a time where like some street vendors actually make a living, making snacks on a stick, or sharing turon, lumpia, just a snack in the middle of the day. But it is such a beautiful way to take a break, get together with friends just for 15 minutes. And, I think it's a priority in also taking a break for yourself. I think that when we prioritize more self-care, when we prioritize relationships, I think we'll have a better balance. So this is the reason why I really love to be able to share to you. So, bottoms up. What do you think, Tara?
Very good. Very relaxing.
Good.
Calm.
Good. I appreciate that. So, and this is a little bit of polvoron. It's a little messy, but I love to have a little bit of it at a time. And whatever you have for a snack, just feel free to eat while we chat. Because I think another thing that I think is really important to think about in Filipino culture, and I was thinking about this very much because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and it's hard for me to get things done because it's all in my head and I want it perfect. Sometimes I'm afraid or I'm ashamed to ask for help. So this has been a big lesson for me, is learning how to overcome, I guess, what you can call hiya. And it has many deeper layers. I'm going to take a sip of tea. And I wanted to invite the audience. What does hiya mean to you from what you understand in Filipino culture? Anybody like to chime in? Can I ask Roque?
Hello, kumusta kayo dyan po? Ako ay si Roque Alaxlucton. In a semi-official capacity, I'm also accessorial co-chair for the Department of Mental Health. And that's for people with disabilities who are needing mental health services in that account. Yeah, well, shame is a powerful stigma in our community, in the Filipino American community. It's a social driver of ours. Its roots are in wanting the community to be at its best, but it's a negative driver. So on some level, it's a hindrance from being in a state of well-being, because mental health support can be difficult to ask for because of either personal shame, familial shame, or community shame. These things run deep in the community. There's phrases like, "Mahiya ka sa sarili mo," like, be ashamed of yourself for things that are looked down upon within the culture. And that's a hard thing to carry. There's ways to liberate yourself from such things, and being honest and very truthful to your condition, whatever it may be, and that seeking help and support is nothing to really be ashamed of. Those are my initial thoughts on that. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you, Roque. So one of the things that I was also very honored by is our colleague here, Ryan Rebueno, who had started volunteering with us from the very beginning when we were doing live events. And it took me a little while to get a hold of him, but I think he finally relented, and I am so blessed that he's here to share his experience, because as a peer mentor, he understands this from somebody who's gone through the journey himself. And Ryan, I'd love to ask, can you share your story?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to our tea session. I know your time is valuable, so we're very flattered to hear this. Well, I'm Ryan. I'm a peer support specialist, and I'm certified by the state to work in mental health type setting. And what a peer support specialist is someone who has lived experience, meaning they've also had a mental health challenge growing up. For me, I had depression, anxiety, and bipolar type 2, and it's affected my relationships and finishing school. Yeah, I was just like off the grid for mostly 20 years, and then I started getting help through support groups, and they encouraged me to get medical insurance, and got on Medi-Cal. I was able to go to NP Research Systems. It's a full service provider, and I got on medication and good therapy, and yeah, slowly but surely I'm getting back up there. I'm able to join you guys because I'm not as anxious as I was last year. But I'm now, excited for the future. I'm, looking forward to, doing more for NAMI. I volunteer with San Diego NAMI as a facilitator for the connection support group, and I'm soon going to be trained on your peer-to-peer classes. So yeah, it's free for everybody, and if anyone wants to join, just come to this NAMI SGB website and we can add you to this.
Can you share that in the chat?
Oh yeah, I'll put it on the link on the chat.
So NAMI stands for
National Alliance for Mental Illness. I think a lot of us here are mental health savvy people, so yeah, we're the biggest organization in the U.S. that helps defeat stigma and advocate for us in the political arena. I'm not sure what else I share.
well, when I read your story, I was very taken by how long from the time you graduated from high school to the time that you actually decided to ask for help. Can you share a little bit about that time?
Part of our peer training was learning how to tell our story, and somebody in our class got the idea to put our story into a book and we self-published on Amazon. So I'll link you guys a PDF, but I'll just give you a quick summary. I mean, just basically what I went through growing up, being in an Asian family, they require us to, have good grades, be in good club, weekly classes, get into UC, get a high-paying job, drive a fancy car, and I was not able to keep up. I actually dropped out of college 3 times, and I was so ashamed to tell my parents that I pretended I was still going to college for 4 years. And at the end of those 4 years, I was supposed to graduate, but I didn't know. I couldn't tell them because education was number one. They just told me in school first over education. So I was so embarrassed to tell them. I was struggling with depression and suicidal thoughts. And, it culminated to a moment where I almost took my life. And I found an opportunity rafting, whitewater rafting, and it could have been an accident. So there's no shame on the family, but I woke up from that experience and I started getting help. Went to bicycles, opened up to my parents, what's that going on? Yeah, it took 4 tries being in recovery, but I'm finally seeing some lasting things. So if there's anybody out there that is still struggling, I highly recommend joining a support group and finding groups like this. It's what gave me strength to go on, because I saw that there are other peers who are succeeding despite their mental health challenges. And that Emily is actually one of the first advocates I met, and I was just so impressed that her story and she was able to get groceries and all. So I'm trying to pay back to the community, and I'm working in mental health and be part of a couple of nonprofits on the board. Yeah, I look forward to meeting you guys out there and learning more about you.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. I think when I read your story and you spoke about how you would spend your days, can you just illuminate just a little bit? When you're when you're pretending to go to school, what would you actually do? And
yeah, those 4 years that I was pretending to go to school, I just left. I went to a school nearby, so I was able to commute. But since I was not in school, I would just go wander the city. I went to libraries, I went to retail stores, slept in my car in the parks, and at night I would go home every day and tell them that it's tough to get school. I didn't go. But yeah, that was a lot of shame that I was carrying. It's hard to come out to my Asian parents with their high demands. But I got through it, so I'm here, and I'm trying to help other people who may be going through it. I'm sure that to help myself.
thank you, Ryan. These are amazing story to me, and definitely an example of just carrying a tremendous amount of shame about being in a situation where we feel awkward asking for help. And this is why we're doing this. This is why we want to share tea and share hope and say it's okay to ask for help. So one of the things that I really discovered also in this pivot to a virtual tea ceremony is a wonderful journalist and fellow Pinay who also felt the call to help her community. So I wanted to introduce Leezel Tanglao. And can you tell us a little bit more about the Caretaker Project and the group that you work with, Philpro?
Sure. Thank you for inviting me to this event, and I'm happy to be here. So I'm with the Filipino Young Leaders Program, also known as Philpro. And just like with everybody during this pandemic, at the start of it, we were all kind of trying to figure out how to answer the question, how can we be together when we can't be literally together? And, this group of young professionals that are scattered throughout the U.S. and as well as in the Philippines, we quickly found out that, we were seeing a lot of common themes within our own families, peer groups, friends, where we all knew somebody that was impacted by COVID-19. And so we were trying to figure out, what can we do? Because we were all kind of feeling helpless and, with all the lockdown, shelter-in-place orders throughout the U.S., there had to be something we could do. So during one of the many Zoom calls, we were all trying to be supportive of each other. The thing that came out a lot was just kind of wouldn't it be great to have some type of playbook? Because we quickly found out that a lot of our older relatives, our titos and titas, our lolas and lolas weren't following the guidance. They wanted to go out. They wanted to go see their barkada, but we knew it was not safe. So it almost became kind of the reverse, where we were the young folks were the adults, and then the older folks were trying to go out. So that kind of seeded the idea of okay, there's got to be a way we can navigate kind of these situations, these difficult conversations. So fast forward a little bit more into the spring. Basically, I posed a question to the group. I'm what can we do? What should we be doing? And basically, I was tapped to lead this COVID-19 task force, which I currently chair. And we started to build upon this idea of a playbook. And then it became later a help desk. And we decided to go for funding, and we got we got funding from an innovation grant through the Leezel Foundation. And so that has now become tayohelp.com. And Tayo in Tagalog means us. So we like to think it's powered for us, by us. And the core of what Tayo does is really the power of information. And we wanted to address a lot of these gaps that COVID-19 has kind of surfaced around information, so within the Filipino community.
So number one, it's the gap of connecting our community to vital resources. This information that we have on Tayo Help, it can be found anywhere, but it's not necessarily culturally tailored to us. It's not organized, it's not curated. So we wanted to address that gap. Two is also to fight misinformation. We saw a lot of our older folks sharing a lot of just downright misinformation around COVID-19. So we wanted to combat that with actual reliable information that they can trust and share. And then lastly, it wasn't enough that we were putting out information, but it was also important to us that we also were intaking information about us as a community. There's just simply not enough information about us, like whether it's studies or surveys. Part of it is, we get lumped into the larger APA subgroup, and that information is not deaggregated. So we also saw this as an opportunity to also intake information about us. So what we have coming up is we're going to be launching a nationwide survey around Filipinos' attitudes around the vaccine. And that is also to help inform us how we message that as the vaccine continues to roll out throughout the coming months. So that was kind of our small kind of contribution into this larger kind of trying to figure out how do we comfort each other, how do we be together without being together, but also providing the vital information that our community needs and that they can trust. So,
Ryan, could you share a screen of Tayo Help? That would, yeah, I think when I was going through the website, I just found it comforting to know that there is the ability to also toggle in Tagalog. So I just love the simplicity and the fact that the website talks to us as Filipino Americans, because, frankly, we're disproportionately affected by COVID-19 because we live in multi-generational households. Many of us do. At least I grew up in a multi-generational household. We have many of our family members or ourselves who are healthcare givers. Charmaine's a healthcare giver. I'm a healthcare giver. My mother's a nurse, emergency room nurse. So many of our friends and family are on the front lines. And so I heard a statistic that even though nurses make up 4% of the workforce, Filipino nurses make up the 4% of the workforce in the United States, they make up 30%, 31% of the fatalities from COVID-19. So it's a lot to take in and reflect upon. So I appreciate, Leezel, that your website and your team is collecting information, because we really need to know why and to figure out how we can better prepare, how we can better become advocates for healthcare, and also to be advocates for self-care and allowing ourselves to actually, we're so busy sometimes, at least I know I'm at fault with this, so busy trying to help other people. I put myself aside, and I see that in my mother sometimes, and with so many other amazingly powerful and talented women. So, one of the things that I thought was really beautiful is when I met Charmaine Clamore, she had this project. It was called the Better Angels Project. And I hope we can really, collaborate and connect with Tayo Help, Leezel, because I appreciate that Tayo Help is basically a pilot project that's here, based in Los Angeles, first of all, right?
correct.
Yeah.
And
And
we hope to expand. So Yeah.
Yes. And you did some work with Fast G, as I understood. Okay, yeah, with care boxes. So Charmaine and the Better Angels Festival has also been doing work with Fast G. Fast G is Filipino American Service Group Incorporated, what I remember. And Charmaine, can you share more about Better Angels Festival and the work you're doing right now?
Sure. Hi. Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Good afternoon. I'm Charmaine. Thank you so much, Michelle, for having me here. So I am the co-founder of Better Angels, and the other co-founder is here with us, Michael Koenig. So Michelle is part of this community. So we are the Better Angels. It's a community of healthcare practitioners and healers, and we offer free services to the community. We started in historic Filipino town in 2015 for free, especially to the underserved. So this time during COVID, through Fast G Cares project funded by the Department of Mental Health and the CARES Act, we have been offering a lot of services, wellness services, such as guided meditation, kapwa yoga, um, a space for artists to discuss their challenges during this time. We have medical qigong. Um, we have gentle COVID boogie, one-on-one sessions, EFT, tapping, Reiki. And in addition to that, I offer twice a week a series of webinar on COVID-19, such as update on COVID-19, how to boost your immune system, topics on sleep, gut health, how to improve your gut health. And then last week we started Restoration Part 1, which is what to do when you get diagnosed positive COVID-19. What should you do? Because many people are asking questions, especially Filipino Americans. I tested positive, but my doctor just told me that to call them back when my symptoms get worse. So what do you do in that case? And how do you protect yourself and your family when someone in your household gets sick? Because a lot of Filipinos live in multi-generational housing. And that's the reason why we have huge, um, unfortunately, fatality rate here in Southern California. And this week we're going to start sharing, we're going to do a recap of part 1 and also how to deal with long COVID syndrome or post-COVID syndrome, because we know that many of those who have had COVID are still up to now having severe symptoms. So in addition to getting the information, one thing that we really love about this program is that we offer free health coaching. We're using the power of community, group, and health coaching to help bridge the gap between knowledge and execution. As we know, it is, sometimes it's not the information, but the execution that needs to be supported. We have 2 more weeks through this project until the end of December 30. So go ahead and I hope that you will partake of the offerings that we serve.
Ryan, could you share the link of the calendar? Because the offerings are pretty extensive. I think it's really beautiful. We're going to share this link on the chat. And if you go to the calendar, you can see all the different opportunities to get involved safely from your own home through Zoom. Just click on the link and join the class. So there's quite a few wonderful fellow Better Angels who are offering the service in conjunction with FAST and the Department of Mental Health. So thank you. I mean, this is a wonderful resource for our kapwa, and please get the word out. We got 2 more weeks to enjoy these classes. Open it up a little bit more to see if anybody has any questions. from Leezel or Charmaine or Ryan, about accessing resources or questions about, you can even just chat it, put it in the chat, and we'll answer you all personally afterwards. But anybody else like to share ideas for resources, or even resources that you would like to see? One of the things that I felt strongly about, especially this week as I'm putting this together, it's been a tough week. It's been a really tough week. And, sometimes we feel that we're such on a mission to get this done, to get this like presented perfectly and beautifully. And there's so many things that I felt I was stumbling over trying to just make this happen. But I'm so grateful you're here. And sometimes it's not necessarily the most perfect execution that matters. It's showing up that matters. And this is why, even if you're not a professional, just taking time to talk to a friend, reaching out to somebody you haven't spoke to in a while, or just, taking time for yourself is really, really important right now. And I think about this a lot because, it's hard to be vulnerable and to talk about our vulnerabilities as Ryan has so bravely shared. But this week has been really hard because, as I mentioned, our community is impacted disproportionately. And it was a real shock when one of our community leaders had passed away back in April. He was only 42 years old. John Eric from SIPA, who was the executive director. Last Sunday, my uncle passed away with COVID. And I didn't have time, or I didn't give myself permission to mourn him. Thank you for sharing. But I want to take this time now because I feel that, it's important that to share that, when you hear these numbers or these percentages, these are not just statistics. These are real people. This is my uncle. This is like my second father who lived with us when he first came to the Philippines, from the Philippines, and he lived with us from the time I was 9 till about 14. So he was like my second dad. And, through this whole past 10 months, I haven't been able to see him. And when he contracted COVID, it took him very quickly. But he did have underlying conditions. And I think this is why it's so important, for work like the Better Angels for more people to know about, because we really need, we really do need to prioritize our physical health as well as our mental health. And working on wellness is more important than working to me, than working in sick care. And, I'm hoping there'd be a silver lining, when this is behind us, when this crisis is behind us, and that we reprioritize what it means to be healthy, what healthcare looks like. And I'm so grateful to MOA for showing that. I'm so grateful to Better Angels for showing what that looked like, and to really internalize that and take that time for ourselves. Anybody else have thoughts or resources about self-care, wellness practices that you want to share?
I'll share some of my coping skills or wellness practices. I mean, definitely number one for me is practicing gratitude, like every available minute of the day. Just be thankful for every small thing, like I'm able to meet all you guys without leaving my house. I'm thankful for that. And this warm tea, it's described as being thankful. It blocks negative thinking, so I use that a lot.
I want to.
Oh,
I am.
Yay!
Hi, Michelle. Hi, everybody. I'm my Tabala all day. And thank you, Michelle. This is really wonderful. So I'm a writer, artist, and I work in nonprofit, mostly in higher education. But so the way that I've been incorporating mental health into my work has been through writing articles about it. And then also through my Instagram page. It's called She's Mighty Mighty. And so like just today I posted my, a recap of my therapy session from my, session that I had yesterday. And so what I'm really trying to do is to end the stigma around talking about mental health. And in my family, there's been suicide, there's been addiction, those are things that we obviously don't talk about. My family, even though these things have happened and it's just kind of swept under the rug, and it's really only this year that, my tita, her son's the one that died by suicide, that she and I finally talked about it, and it's been 8 years. So, I think I acknowledge and I understand that within my own family that there is, there are people suffering from mental health. And so the more that I can talk about my journey and my practice, I feel like, hopefully that can help my my family members, young and old, and then other people in my community. Because I don't think I know that I needed therapy when I was younger, but that was never offered to me, right? And so I have an older son, and he, when he started showing some depression in high school, my immediate thing was, okay, let's have you talk to a professional, and let's not have any shame around this, and I think hiya is such, I always learned it as like walang hiya, that person has no shame, or nakakahiya, like how embarrassing, that person shared that piece of information. And that's what I'm trying to do, is to not have hiya around my own mental health stories. So anyway, thank you, Michelle, for creating this space and for letting us all talk about this.
Thank you, Mighty. I met Mighty 20 years ago, and so I was really amazed to see this beautiful Instagram page with 21,000 followers. I'm like, oh, this is the same Mighty I knew, and it is. And I'm so grateful that you're here to join us. And I'm sorry to hear about your is it your cousin?
Yeah, cousin. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I also have. Yes, and this morning, Charmaine and I were speaking, and it was a little bit of shock to hear about this. But Charmaine, would you like to share? And there she is. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I found out last night that a co-better angel, this beautiful young lady, has taken her life. So spaces like this, I think, is just so helpful.
I agree. And this is what's so hard about not being able to be together, is because we need to express, just as we express joy at weddings and parties, we also express grief, and it's okay to do that. And we need to do that, find ways to do that together. And so when I heard this morning, I said, we have to share, because I knew her too. She was such a beautiful, sensitive soul. It was a shock. And, you know, I only wish that I can only imagine her pain, but I wish that, you know, she felt she could ask for resources the way Ryan was able to. And this is why we have to do what we are doing, is sharing these stories and say, hey, you know, talk to somebody. There's resources that we can access, you know, either by phone or even just talking to a friend. That's probably one of the first things. And I realize not everybody has somebody they can talk to. So it just really makes me reflect that not all statistics about COVID deaths are from COVID directly. There's going to be a lot of hurt and despair and feelings of hopelessness and helplessness, and finding ways to overcome that is really important at this time. So thank you, Charmaine. Thank you for sharing that with me this morning. And, you know, I just wanted to ask, in addition to being an amazing organizer, community organizer, and physical therapist with 20 years of experience, Charmaine is also an amazing singer. And this runs deep in our community, I believe, because, oh man, I have so many friends that can wipe the floor with me when we get together for karaoke. So I believe that the voice is a very, very powerful modality. So I'd be very honored, Charmaine, if you could lead us. And I hope some of you have this. Otherwise, Ryan, can you share? Well, actually, let's have. Yeah, get ready to share the lyrics.
Share my screen. I can share it too.
Okay. When you're ready, Charmaine, because
okay.
When you're ready, on your time.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me see here. So one of the beautiful things about Pasko or Christmas in the Filipino tradition is Christmas caroling. We love doing this, and actually Christmas in the Philippines starts in November. And one of the beautiful memories I have is having Christmas caroling. So let me share my screen. Would it be possible, Ryan, for me to have that or the lyrics? Can I be a co-host perhaps? Okay, thank you so much. So, but since it's caroling, so go ahead and sing with me. So this is how it's gonna go. So I'll start off the first verse, and you can join me on the second verse. And then the third verse, I can do it. And fourth verse, please join me. So this is the songs that Michelle chose for this program. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child, holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace, sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night. You want to sing with me? You could unmute your mic. Here we go. 1, 2, silent
Silent night,
night,
holy
holy
night,
night, shepherds wake at the sight,
Lord,
glory
straight
stream
from
from
heaven,
heaven afar. Heavenly hosts sing hallelujah. Christ the Savior
Savior
is
is
born.
born.
Christ
Christ
the
the
Savior
Savior
is born. Charmaine. Lupang tahimik, gabing sinilang, ang sangkol na banal, bituing maluningning ang tanglaw ng tatlong haring nagsidalaw. Kay Kristong kataas-taasan, nagpuri at nag-alay. Join me please. Silent night, holy night, Son of God, God's pure light, radiant beam from thy holy face, with the dawn of redeeming grace. Jesus, Lord, at thy birth, Jesus, Lord, at thy birth.
Yay.
Here's Charmaine.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Do we want to do one more? We need to wrap up.
Oh, that's about time for us.
Okay. Well, thank you. I really felt that, you know, as I reflect on that song, I really think about how we're approaching the solstice, the winter solstice, and you know, this time when we're quiet and it's okay to, you know, come inside and be reflective, because in that time where it's cold or it might be just harsh outside, when we're at peace with ourselves, there's a new spirit that can be born, this new hope that is born. And so I hope people can reflect on that and think about that. And yeah, Oh, yes, of course. So thank you again for everybody joining us at Sharing Speech, Sharing Hope. And I want to encourage folks, you know, if you felt like you learned something from this, well, session, even if you didn't learn something, please fill out our survey. If Ryan, can you put the surveys in the chat box? It's just 5 easy questions. We also have it available in Tagalog if you need it. And from those who can complete the survey, the pre-survey, we'll send you a post-survey in the email, and we'll choose a winner from that group of people who complete both surveys to receive a $100 gift card. So please check out the survey, fill it out, and we'll follow up and send you resources and another survey. Any other questions, ideas, comments? I look forward to hearing some of your comments. Also, a possibility on the surveys, and would love to have you join us for our next Sharing Tea, Sharing Hope. We're going to have the calendar on the website. The next one will be January 9th with the Khmer community. And it's going to be a little bit different because it's going to be not on Zoom, but we'll put it onto our Facebook page. It will be done on a television station called Khmer TV. So that'll be a fun pivot to do. Yeah, look forward to you all coming. And also we'll have a tea ceremony with the Korean community, the Vietnamese community, and the Chinese community closer to Lunar New Year. So thank you again for coming to Sharing Tea, Sharing Hope. Happy holidays, Magayang Pasko, Happy New Year. How can we say Happy New Year in Japanese as well? Ron.
Akemashite omedetou.
Thank you. Happy New Year in Tagalog.
Manigong bagong taon.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Maligayang
Look forward to
Pasko.
the party.
Ngayong Pasko.
Magayang Pasko.